Welcome back. Just some 48 hours until Kenosha's new mayor is sworn in Tuesday.
David Bagdalo won with 53% of the vote in the April 2nd election. He greeted supporters election night in what's become a rarity for Kenosha, a new mayor in the state's fourth largest city. I talked with him before he takes the helm this week. You're just the third person to be elected the mayor of Kenosha in more than 30 years. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think we've had great leadership. Mayor Antaramian, has been, he's 24 years here as mayor of Kenosha, but before that in the state legislature. I mean, he has just done such great work. Again, I said on election night, I'll never be able to fill his shoes, but hopefully we can take the ball and continue to drive the city forward. I think he's done a great job bringing different people together, bringing folks from all sides of the aisle together. I think that's one of his strongest suits. Identifying funding and working with the council and various councils and different folks to get things done.
You were an alderman during the unrest here in Kenosha. What did you learn, not only from being a resident here in Kenosha during that really hectic and chaotic time, but as a city leader as well, and kind of what do you take from that as you now become the mayor of the city? Communication
is key. I think one of the things that we learned, at least I think hopefully that the city learned, is you've got to have the right pieces in place to be able to communicate, to talk to folks about what it is that's happening. And you do that before an event and, of course, during. I think one of the things that I need to make sure that I'm focused on is building those relationships. Again, with Mayor Antaramian, he's been here for 24 years, and he's had a number of folks that have helped him over the years. A lot of those folks aren't around anymore, and it's a new group of folks who want to see great things in Kenosha as well. They're much younger, they're much hungrier, they want to see positive change, and we need to make sure that they know that they have a government that's on their same side, is working with them and providing them the same transparency that they expect.
You've recently said that Kenosha expects their leaders to be nonpartisan. We know that we are in Wisconsin, obviously in Kenosha, the county sometimes swings in some big statewide elections. What do you think is the pulse of the political pulse right now heading into the fall general election, the presidential election?
Well, I hope what folks take from our election is, again, we ran as truly nonpartisan. I'm not a member of either party. I think there's good ideas on both sides of the aisle. And you need to be able to work together. So I'm really hopeful that folks take from this election that we had, because on the other side it was very partisan, and we didn't do that. I don't think that was the right thing to do. So hopefully people can learn from that and say, you know what, you don't have to be partisan. There are good folks on both sides of the aisle. There are good ideas on both sides of the aisle, and we need to work together if we're going to continue to move Kenosha forward. And strictly working on a partisan nature is not going to get the job done. And I hope that's what people will learn from this past election last Tuesday, that you can do that you don't have to pick a side. You can pick good ideas. You can pick great people. And that's what really should be the focus of, particularly on the local level.
What did you make of, during the campaign, some of your opponents trying to connect you or trying to tie you with former Governor Scott Walker?
Yeah, it was unfortunate. Again, my job as mayor is to work with all sides, whether it's a Republican governor, a Democratic governor, and I've had great relationships with all of them. We talked about, I've met with Governor Evers when he was down here in Kenosha, and we're very thankful for him for all the work he's done on things like projects like Highway 50. Obviously, Senator Baldwin was down here and really helped out with the Kin neighborhood project and providing funding for that. So I think, again, you have to work with all sides if you're going to truly be transformative.
You will likely be working with the state legislature a little bit more closely than you did over the past, 16 years as an alderperson. What do you think that you need from the state to keep Kenosha thriving? Where do you see yourself kind of needing to work with the legislature?
Well, I think really it comes down to funding. I mean, I know last year they made some changes on the shared revenue side. I've worked very closely with our state representative, Representative Tip McGuire, who's just doing a phenomenal job on the Joint Finance Committee and really helped us get some additional funds. But again, when you look at some of the problems that a lot of larger cities are having, it really is coming down to funding. So I think that's something that we really have to take a strong look at. Obviously, the budget's been passed, but I think moving forward, I think they really have to take a look at how are we funding our local municipalities, because we are the folks who are on the front lines. We're the folks we need talking about, public safety, We need to make sure that we're adequately funding that. Right now, the only ability we have is to go out to referendum, which we did about 2 years ago, to add more police officers and firefighters. But then there's also, we have to also remember that I believe in local control. And I think hopefully that the folks in Madison recognize that too and say, that's where you get the ideas from. That's where great ideas are generated. And so let the experimentation happen at the local level. And so what I might do here in Kenosha can work in Racine, can work in Superior, a lot of different things if we allow that experimentation to happen and let good ideas come forward. If it works, great. If it doesn't, we move on and we work on something else, but we're always moving the ball forward.
The official swearing in happening Tuesday in Kenosha.
Up next, the youth vote, one-on-one with the young voter who introduced President Biden in Madison.